Getting referrals, praying for referrals is not a business strategy. It is not what I'm recommending to anybody. That's why we work together. That's why I have meta advertising in one bucket, because praying for a referral is not how you should operate. But once you see that there is a predictable referral cycle that comes through every month, you say, okay, I'm not praying for it, but by the nature of who I've helped, this is what ought to happen over time in a range.
If you're an aggressive, growth-minded attorney looking to transform your law firm into a thriving business, you're in the right place. Welcome to the AGM Attorney Podcast, the #1 podcast dedicated exclusively to aggressive, growth-minded attorneys. Each episode will deliver actionable strategies and insights to help you attract ideal clients, scale your law firm, and dominate your market. And now, here's your host, Josh Konigsberg.
Welcome to the AGM Attorney Podcast, where aggressive, growth-minded attorneys discover proven strategies to transform their law firms into thriving businesses. A special thank you to our sponsor, Law Firm Marketing Pros. They get you more leads, more clients, and more profits. I'm your host, Josh Konigsberg. Let's get aggressive. Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of the AGM Attorney Podcast. I'm excited today to have my friend Lee Rudin back for a second time. Lee is the founder of Rudin Law, a personal injury firm known for standing up powerfully against insurance companies and delivering justice for the little guy. Since launching his firm in 2023, Lee has built a reputation for bold advocacy and results-driven representation. Recognized as a Louisiana super lawyer, a rising star for 6 consecutive years, Lee continues to push his firm forward and focus on growth, client service, and community impact. Lee, welcome back.
Thanks, Josh. I didn't tell you that I love the rebrand because in a past life, I played on a competitive flag football team, and our for short, was AGM. We were, instead of Any Given Sunday, we played on Monday nights. So we were Any Given Monday. So AGM has a warm place in my heart.
So it's interesting that you mentioned that. Was that like a rough touch league?
Actually, so you know how there's the competitive, like now there's the national flag football champions that are going to be in the Olympics. So the quarterback of that team, we used to play against here. Like a lot of those guys, we played against the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu. We played against Joe McKnight before he passed away. Yeah, it's competitive. Like rough touch is a good way to describe it.
Yeah, there's if you remember the movie Invincible, as you know, I'm an Eagles fan. So my brother played high school football. He played in that, if you remember the scene where they play in the mud in the parking lot. Well, that's actually an organized, it was called rough touch football back then in Philly. And my brother actually played against Vince Papale in that league. So, yeah.
Being right, I used to joke. I'd wake up on Tuesday mornings, my hips hurt, my knees hurt. Like I was an in the trenches guy. So you're blocking, but it ends up your body is just banging into people. You just can't use your hand.
That's right. That's right. Right. Okay.
Yep.
So Lee, it's been a year since we last spoke, and the AGM Attorney Podcast, formerly, as you know, Behind the Bench. What's been the biggest change or milestone for you and Rudin Law since that conversation?
Look, when we talked a year ago, right? So a year ago, I would have just made a year. Now we just made 2 years. I think what I expected to happen has basically come to fruition, which, setting aside the marketing and how you want to pull those levers. If you're in the space and your goal is to help people and you help some, and then they tell their friends and their neighbors, and then you help more and more and more, the very nature of that organic growth, almost thinking of a spider web, like start at the middle and it just grows out. That's what I expected to happen when I said, I'm not doing any more defense work. I'm not a hybrid anymore. I'm going to just fully commit to this line of work. And I was just talking to my sales intake team. We call them the client development team. I said, this last month, we had 15 referrals, straight referrals, not marketing leads, like not nothing. And that is if that is consistent, everything else you do that's how you're going to scale.
That's right. So that's what we call viral, right? So the virality of it, we talk about it in my space, we talk about it online, but in real life, that's where it comes from, right? So people telling other people, that's networking, right? So, and if you do a good job, they refer you.
And, I think that in this business, right, if you want to be, well, first of all, it's in any business, but in particular, the client facing service business, you have to be willing to tell people what you do. I mean, you see what I'm wearing, right? I wear this stuff all the time because what's the worst that happens? Somebody's like, hey, what's that shirt? Oh, you do this? Oh, I was looking for a lawyer, or my friend was looking for a lawyer. Like, that's the worst thing that happens.
Right. So looking back, how has your perspective as a law firm owner evolved over the past year, and what has surprised you the most?
I don't want to say that it's surprising, but I'm an eternal optimist, Josh, right? I think the best of people, I think the best of the world, and I look at the glass half full. In the last year, I have been disappointed in, let's say, some of the people I've worked with, my opponents, certain vendors who shall not be named, where, they tell me something, they can do something, their product does something, and then they don't. And I'm not the kind of guy that's hooting and hollering saying, oh, give me back my money, this and that. But if you're coming to me and saying, hey, yeah, we told you our product could do it, and then they didn't do it, don't you think you should be coming hat in hand to say, you know what, we want to make it right. Let us do this, this, and this to help you. But, in this industry, as everybody will say, there's a lot of charlatans. And so you got to be wary of that. And I hate that. I hate that about peers of mine that don't do right by their clients. And then I get them coming to me and I'm saying, wait a minute, your lawyer didn't do this, didn't do that, didn't do this. I don't know. So am I surprised? No, but it is something that I've seen now firsthand, and you just shook my head a little bit.
So it's disappointing. And I'll say this as a seasoned businessman and consumer, right? The reality is this is, and I've been saying this for a long, long time. You know what they call the guy who finished last in his class in medical school?
A doctor. I say it similarly. I said, you know what the bar exam is? It's a test of minimum competency. So, to become a lawyer, you don't have to do anything but cross over that bottom of the barrel benchmark. And then there's ethical standards you're supposed to uphold. And I just got into a tiff with a client and he's telling me, oh, you took my money. I said, sir, your money is still safely sitting in my trust account. I'm sorry that you're not happy that you used your health insurance and they're asserting a lien and I'm trying to negotiate it on your behalf so they don't eat up all of your settlement. But trust me, I'm not making any money on doing this. I'm doing it for you. And I'm the only person here that hasn't taken a penny. The insurance company got paid. You have already gotten paid. All I'm doing is holding the rest that they might make a claim over until I can get it resolved. And then as soon as I did, they got their money. He got the rest of his money. And then I finally took mine because I'm not taking it first. Never.
I love that. So as Rudin Law continues to grow, what are the new challenges that you're facing today that you did not anticipate in your first year?
I guess the best way to describe it is to pump the brakes in some capacities, right? I don't know when this is going to air, but as I sit here today, yesterday we purchased a building to open a new office.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's one of those things where I saw the opportunity. I said, this is going to be a good play. Even if maybe now it's going to make us tighten our belts a little bit. Down the road, we're going to look back and say this was a smart move. I'm always of the accumulation mindset because you never know what's coming around the corner. So, try to get the cases now, try to help the people now. And part of what I have to watch is, our focus right now is in Louisiana. We are also working in Texas. We have cases throughout the country. We have a lawyer coming on who's licensed in New York and New Jersey. So in my mind, very easy to market as Gulf Coast, East Coast. But how thin do you spread yourself and how much more do you need to staff up if you do that, if you fully commit to saying we're going to work in this jurisdiction, in that jurisdiction. So that's where I'm trying to delicately balance the desire to scale and succeed quickly with, not making sure, I think, as you say, like you have a leaky bucket, whether it's in leads or, in your case management and your client services.
So have you had to pivot or adjust the approach to client acquisition and or the firm operations as your caseload has increased?
All the time. So, well, let's talk about client acquisition, right? There's a multitude of channels that you could be pursuing. And, the thing that's great yesterday might not be great tomorrow. So you're constantly looking. I am of the mind, and we've talked about this, I think, you can't hit it and quit it too quickly with a vendor or with a channel. That's not fair to them. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to the tactic, because some of these things need time to marinate and percolate and then actually see the benefits of the work you did, 3-4 months ago. And so I'm of that mind strongly. I'm not going to work with somebody and say, oh, you didn't deliver in a month or 2 months. I think 90 days is the minimum. And honestly, I probably give folks more than that because I want to see what you can do, because you might have a bad month, but you might make up for it in the next one or the one after that. And so that I've been playing with different things in that capacity, in the marketing mix to see what fits. And, I spoke to your team. I said, hey, I don't know if this is working. Do we want to ratchet it back? Do we want to put it somewhere else? No, don't take the chips off the table. Just maybe put them in a different game. So that's the client acquisition side. And then in terms of the client facing service, working the cases, I think you also need to be figuring out, hey, where do your players fit the best? So we continue to add new team members where we have 2 paralegals, but one of them is handling litigation. The other one is really a medical record lien resolution specialist, because she just showed an acumen of being on it, organized. And when you become that specialist, you can then execute because you have, which levers to pull, which lines to dial, as opposed to 5 people all trying to resolve the lien or 5 people all trying to get the medical record. So doing some of that, adding team members where you see quality, even if maybe you didn't think you had the budget for it. If you're scaling, you're going to need them, and better to have them when you do than to not have them and then you're scrambling.
So that leads me to the lessons that you've learned, right? So now you're coming to the end of year 2 of business. What is the one unexpected lesson that you learned about the scaling and managing and growing a team?
One unexpected. I don't know, Josh. I think we were talking earlier, right? We're talking about charlatans and we're talking about what works and what doesn't. I thought that some of the tried and true marketing methods, I'm more of a digital marketing guy, right? I'm not on radio, TV, billboards. I thought some of them would work consistently across the country. And now I've come to learn that it can be very locality specific, meaning, your LSA, PPC might work in one place, but might not where I am. Meta advertising, your Instagram, Facebook might work great where I am, but not somewhere else. And so that's interesting to learn and interesting to get the perspective. I'm in a couple different mastermind type groups, and that I always find valuable. Some of these conferences, talking to my peers to see what's working, what isn't. I find that to be immensely worthwhile.
So most entrepreneurs and law firm owners don't have a large budget, like a Morgan & Morgan, or in the case of mass marketing that we'll call Madison Avenue for like the Procter & Gamble's or the Anheuser-Busch's of the world, what they do is they test ads and do focus groups in different parts. So they'll test the same ad in different parts of the country and create different variations and then run the variations, and sometimes not even run them at all, depending on the results of the focus group. You don't have the luxury to have that kind of budget. So You have to kind of test a little bit, but I've been saying this for years, marketing is a lot about testing. You have to, it's part science and part art, right? So even one word difference. And I liked it. I actually had this conversation with my chiropractor's wife the other day because she's responsible for the marketing of the chiropractic office. So one of the most iconic television ad campaigns in history is the Wendy's Where's the Beef campaign, right? And I asked her, I said, so if one word in that campaign changed and it didn't say where's the beef and it says where's the hamburger, would it have had the same impact?
Well, I guarantee you they tested where's the meat and someone's like, I don't like that as much. And it didn't resonate. And so that's why they are where they are. But I think the funny thing about it is that the smartest guys in the room, they still can't predict it. They could try and they can tell you, we believe this is going to work, but you never know what's going to go viral. That's, I think, what the digital age has shown us is that a lot of it, and that's kind of the tactic I employ, which is, how do you know it's going to work? But if you don't try it, it's never going to work.
That's right. That's 100% right. So the other thing I'm part of multiple mastermind groups as well. And one of the things we talk about is, look, you can do 10 things. 8 might not work. 1 might work okay. And 1 might knock it out of the park. Right. So that's kind of the mindset that you have to have when you're in, especially a volatile space like digital.
Well, so you're talking in the marketing angle, and I'm going to pivot it to the client acquisition angle. When I talk to my sales team, I said, guys, if the run rate, the close rate is 5 to 15%, if that's the going rate on internet type leads, that means you're going to get a no or a no answer or crap between 85 and 95% of the time. That's a lot of frogs to kiss before you find a prince. So understand that and don't get disheartened. Just keep plugging away.
That's right. So can you share a recent case or client experience that would highlight how your firm's approach has evolved or improved since our last interview?
Yeah, I think that a couple of the ones that always stand out to me, I have a couple right now, where they're coming to me as the second lawyer. And so there's two kinds of clients that I really find to be meaningful. They're the ones that they saw something about whatever we're putting out on the internet and said, I got to hire that guy. And I tell my team, if they're willing to put their trust in us, they don't know us from Adam. It's not a referral. They're just seeing something about the message and saying, that's the guy for me. Maybe it's the stop being polite, get rude stuff. Maybe it's just the way they like what we're saying about how we treat our clients or how we view the process. If they're willing to put their trust in us, we got to deliver on that. And then the other part that I really like, and this was the examples I was going to reference, are the guys that come to us and they say, I'm having this experience with my lawyer and it's wrong in some way. Lack of communication, lack of aggressiveness, whether it's in treatment. Apologies, it's storming out here terribly. You hear it? Yeah. We're going to get one of those biblical storms if it's not already here.
At least it's not a tsunami.
We are in the Gulf, so you never know where it's pushing. When you get those cases where they come to us and they say, my lawyer is not doing this, this, and this. Should they be? And I'm like, absolutely they should be. And I am not in the business of telling people to get rid of their lawyers. What I actually do, and I've had this recently, I tell them, hey, go to your lawyer and suggest these things. Like, I'd rather give you that advice and you go get your case on track. Because if you pivot it, take it to me and we got to do a whole bunch of things, it may slow you down. You might be better off in the long run, but there's going to be some lag time. A lot of times they're like, I don't even want to give the guy the time of day. He didn't want to do it before. I'm not letting him do it now. But I at least think that the other lawyer deserves the courtesy of being given that last chance. So I've got a couple of those right now where they're great cases in my office. Lawyers were not handling the right way. We took them. We acted fast. We got the case on track. And I think we're in line to drive results like we talked about good results for these clients.
So it's been about a year, and if you recall, you and I initially discussed the fact that you did not have much of a digital footprint because your practice was new, and as the digital footprint continues to progress, because it is a progression, are there other? How do I want to say this? Are there other things that have impacted your growth over time? And what I'm saying is that the enhancement of the digital footprint, and I know we're not there yet because I looked at it earlier today, right? Before this. So is there any one thing that you can say, hey, that's had measurable impact?
So I'm not the savant. I'll be the first to admit it. Part of where I struggle, you ask like some of the challenges, I'm just not sophisticated enough in all of the segments of the digital landscape to say, hey, this isn't meeting muster. I know when there's something off, maybe I can't tell you why. And that's where, I do rely on folks like you to be like, okay, this isn't working the way we want it. Here's what we're going to do to pivot, give us a little bit of runway, to let us see if this is going to work. The one thing that you guys stressed, and it makes total sense to me, and I can't imagine why other law firms aren't doing it, is going to get those Google reviews. I do it on Facebook too. Like, it's so easy. It's the easiest, hardest thing to do. I just had a client come in. I handed her check. She was over the moon. I said, I need a favor. And I do it just like that. This is important to me. I need a favor. You have your phone on you? Cool. You have a Gmail account? Awesome. You have a Facebook account? Awesome. Take it out. This is what I need. I'm not going to tell you what to say. If you're happy, I think it's appropriate to have a 5-star review if you agree, and then just write whatever you want, copy it, put it on my next Google profile, put it on Facebook, and we're done. It's 5 minutes at most.
Great time. That's what I recommend to everybody to do, right?
And I've got now, if you look at Facebook and you look at the 2 Google profiles, I'm probably up to somewhere in the 350 to 400 range of reviews. And I'm new. These firms that have been around for a decade, I shouldn't be outpacing them in that space.
As I say, trust online is represented by reviews. That's the number one currency today, online, no doubt. So let's talk about some industry trends. The personal injury field is evolving quickly. What trends or shifts are you watching closely, and how is Rudin Law adapting to stay competitive?
So I think there's 2 things, right? There's obviously AI, but I'm going to kind of set that aside. I think the big trend that you can see folks complaining about, whether they're on the defense side, the insurance side, or even the plaintiff bar, is the worry of, let's say, non-law firm ownership, coming out of Arizona, private equity, and then the behemoths, which could be equity backed also, your Morgan & Morgans, these other big players coming into your backyard. Honestly, I don't care either way. I don't care if you come. I want to emulate what you're doing. To me, I think I'm fortunate that I've built a brand that we're young, but I have the utmost faith in the world that we are super sticky and we're going to work our tail off to compete with these big brands and go national in that sense. So, if you don't have a brand and you haven't built up a position in your backyard, yeah, I might be worried. But if you've got relationships with local clients and you're continuing to foster those relationships, and or you're building your own brand in whatever capacity, then that's okay. I think Morgan & Morgan, what do they have? 20% even in their backyard? That means there's 80% of the market. You could do just fine.
That's right. Yep. So I noticed that you're using the video testimonial feature in our top-rated law firm reputation marketing system. So staying on those trends, how do you plan on leveraging the power of video testimonials moving forward?
So interestingly, right, Meta is a great place to talk about this because that's where folks are watching, whether it's, TikTok is not Meta, but your TikTok, your Instagram Reels, your YouTube Shorts, and then Facebook, people are consuming so much video that, yeah, it's great to put up the 5-star Google review as a static post, but they probably want to hear from the person that looks like them explaining the experience. And so, but with that said, that's the hard part, because a lot of people don't want to be on camera. So that client of mine that was ecstatic to give me the 5-star review in 2 Google profiles and the raving review on Facebook was like, I'm shy. I don't want to be on camera. I want all your gear. I want to wear it all. And I'll tell everybody, but I don't want to be on your website.
You know, what I tell people is nobody's judging you. It's not about that. But some people, listen, women want to make sure their makeup's right and all that. And, you know,
it's okay. I get it. You know, that's not, if you're not comfortable, I don't want to put you in that position. Just like I don't want to do any, I'm not going to send you to medical treatment you don't need. It's not my bag. But if you're willing to be a champion for me outwardly, I will absolutely take it. And it does add credibility, because you can throw a diverse group of folks up on your website and show, look, we help all people, shapes, sizes, colors, creeds, ages, and they're willing to step out and tell you about it. That's got to mean something.
Yeah, right. Exactly right. For sure. So what's next for Rudin Law in 2026? What are the growth initiatives and long-term goals that you're particularly excited about?
Look, Josh, I don't know how many of these you got in the bank, but it's only August 1 in 2 days of 2025. I still got at least another quarter left.
Look, but it comes fast, right? I mean,
yeah, of course. No. Well, look, so in the immediate term, we are going to build out a new office space. We are going to have that operational by the end of 2025. Hopefully, in my mind, kind of soft open end of the year 2025, and then launch 2026. That's got great visibility on a highly trafficked road, similar to what we've got currently. But one's in New Orleans. My current office is in the first suburb. We're looking at maybe opening little branches in Texas and perhaps a small one up in New York. We're toying with some things. But a lot of it's going to be a creature of how do we continue to scale and staff? Because I want to make sure first and foremost that we're not getting too big for our britches, that we have the team to continue to provide, high-end client service. We're bringing on a skilled litigator and a friend of mine in less than 30 days. So that's going to allow us to keep a little bit more litigation in-house and diversify our team, which I like a lot. And we've been toying with opening a couple different complementary practice areas that I think will operate to feed some of the personal injury work. Workers' comp, maybe a little bit criminal, because you get them in the door, you provide them good service, and all of a sudden when they get in that wreck or they have the slip and fall, you're the lawyer.
That's right. Or conversely, somebody has too much to drink one day and they get a DUI, and who are they going to call, right? So,
that's not the model that I want to employ, but I really don't like telling people I can't help them. I don't like it. It's not in my nature. And so it seems like a relatively easy fix. If you can figure out the business model of the workers' comp or the criminal, and you have somebody that is qualified, that you trust to do the work, then you just got to work out your deal with that person and bring them in under your umbrella.
So looking back at the journey from launching, now it's been 2 years. So what are the final nuggets of wisdom that you can share with the aggressive, growth-minded attorneys who want to build a successful law firm? Because I looked at your story as an incredible success in a very short period of time.
You got to have a pair of balls. Guys or girls, right? I mean it euphemistically. But what do they say? Scared money don't make money.
That's right.
So there's stuff that we do that nobody in their right mind would say, wait a minute, I'm spending how much money doing what? And I'm not seeing return on that for how long? But, a lot of it comes with the comfort of the predictability. We started the conversation with talking about referrals. Getting referrals, praying for referrals is not a business strategy. It is not what I'm recommending to anybody. That's why we work together. That's why I have meta advertising in one bucket, because praying for a referral is not how you should operate. But once you see that there is a predictable referral cycle that comes through every month, you say, okay, I'm not praying for it, but by the nature of who I've helped, this is what ought to happen over time in a range. You take that, you couple it with some digital work through law firm marketing pros, and then you add on maybe a vendor in a different type of space. All of a sudden, you've got a mix to make sure you keep the lights on, you help a bunch of people, you pay your team, and hopefully you succeed.
So that's great advice. And it takes time, right? It does not happen fast. So, but in marketing years, in SEO years, in law years, it's happened really fast for you. I can tell you from doing this for 15 years, it's happened really fast. So congratulations. And that's a testament to your branding. Your branding is second to none. So, so now it's time to move on to my favorite part of the podcast, and that's the lightning round. Now, I've added 10 new questions just for you because we've had the other questions before.
I didn't read these. I didn't get to the bottom, so this is going to be
great. All right. So again, I'll ask the question, just what comes to mind. Okay. What mantra or quote do you live by?
Mantra or quote? All right. This is something that I took from my dad, and I love it. It takes a little bit of an explanation because there's a backstory, but it's, if you don't have it in the head, you better have it in the feet. And it's a story about when he used to work in the garment center in New York, some guy that was a runner for them was like going back and forth from place to place, carrying these fake fur coats. And his boss said to him, well, if you don't have it in the head, you better have it in the feet. I mean, if he can't think about what he's got to bring over there, he's running back to get it, running back over. And so, and I say, like, we got both. We're smart and we work our asses off. So we're going to give it to you with our feet and we're going to think it through with our head. And I think you take some brains and some hustle and you can't teach either.
I love it. I love it. What was your favorite childhood movie?
The reason I am a lawyer is because I loved Jerry Maguire. And not the things you think, right? Like I love the kind of the rom-com-y stuff. Like I fancy myself the master of the living room. Like I love that part of what we do, talking to people, the selling, the relationship building. I love it.
So many great quotes from that movie that you hear on a regular basis. It's astounding.
Amazing. And not like the show me the money one, all the other ones.
So the one I use all the time when I'm teaching is it ain't show business. It ain't show friends. It's show business, right? There you go. So, all right. So, how would your friends describe you in 3 words?
Honest, blunt, maybe, tough, and decent. Just a decent guy.
Love it. What's your favorite food?
Pizza.
Ooh. And what's the best gift you have ever given someone?
Oof. I don't know. I hate gift giving. So whatever they asked for, that's the gift. I don't know. You know what? I gave my parents their grandkids. I would say that's.
That's the one. There you go. Great answer. I love that. So, what book changed you?
I have not read books in years. That's one of the downsides of what we do, but I've decided that's unacceptable. And so I just read Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guevara. He was the front of house guru at 11 Madison Park in New York City. And he turned that restaurant into, I think it's now got like 4 Michelin stars or some craziness. But the book is awesome when it talks about customer service and how to deal with clients and make lasting impressions. It's phenomenal. I highly recommend it to anybody.
Good stuff. And mention the book again so everybody can pick it up.
It's called Unreasonable Hospitality, and the author is Will Guevara. I think it's like Guivara or ERA. You can find it through Unreasonable Hospitality.
Good stuff. What advice would you give your younger self?
I would tell my younger self to take care of your back, because when you hurt it, and it doesn't go away, no matter how much you try. And this is some advice that I saw other people post around LinkedIn, and it's really true. It's something that I've lived by, and my wife gives me crap for it. But you could be nice and be friends with all sorts of people, and it doesn't have to be transactional, but those relationships you build, whether it's in law school or years before, or just by talking to somebody in an elevator, you never know how it's going to come back to you down the road. And in a business like ours, where it's a referral based business, it's a people business, more people you know that think, you're not an asshole, that's the more opportunities you have to generate a client.
So well said. So well said. Especially given the nature of the industry that you're in.
That's right. That's right. I said, you don't have to like me, but if you're like, that guy's not an idiot and you could hire him, sure, go hire him. Okay, I'll take it.
He's not. So good. What's your favorite way to spend a Sunday?
I want to exercise, hang out with my kids, maybe eat some pizza. If it's the fall, I'm watching football. Maybe I'm watching some sports somewhere. We got a bunch of breweries, hanging with some friends. I mean, that seems like a pretty full day.
Yeah, right. Sounds like a great day.
Odds are I'm probably getting on the computer and doing something work-wise, but that's just the nature of the beast.
Checking your emails on your phone like me.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I know I'll be watching Super Bowl champions this coming fall. So.
What they're wearing big blue this year? Yeah. All right, maybe a couple of years.
What dream or goal excites you the most right now?
I'm really excited with what we're doing with this firm. I didn't ask to start this firm, Josh. It just kind of fell in my lap. But as I've said to folks in the past, it's what's in front of me, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. I think we've got some awesome stuff coming out, digital marketing wise. Some of the videos we're going to put out, some of that stuff. I just like the path we're on. And I love, my team is engaged. We help them by them working with us. We help our clients. They're coming back with great feedback. I'm just really excited with what we're doing.
Good stuff, man. All right. Last question is, other than the fact that you started reading again, what's something you're currently learning or working on to improve yourself?
I am working on, you mentioned the cell phone, right? I'm trying to put the cell phone away. I'm trying to get out of my inbox. I have an executive assistant whose job is only to manage my inbox. And I've taken some advice from a bunch of different folks and said, okay, here's how I'm going to block my day. And I'm going to, as best I can, adhere to the blocks so that I can actually be productive and not be playing whack-a-mole because this thing hit my inbox and that thing hit my inbox and this call came in. It's just super inefficient.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, block out times for that. So Lee, this has been tremendous. I always enjoy our time together. I really appreciate you joining us today on the AGM Attorney Podcast.
Any given Monday Attorney Podcast or Aggressive Growth Minded? Which would you?
Aggressive Growth Minded Attorney Podcast. So thanks again, and that's bye from now, everyone.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the AGM Attorney Podcast. Now it's time to put these strategies into action and accelerate your growth. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you next time.